Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream on Fantasy Football Scout. Today I'm joined with Gianni as usual, and today we'll go through my game week 12. We'll maybe have a discussion about Gianni's game week 12 as well, and have a look at how I'm fixed going forward for game week 13. How are we, Gianni?
I'm all right, man. Yeah, nice to be here. Good to be chatting with you again. Obviously, we have the international break. We'll have to touch on my game week 12 as well because, like many watching, I don't own Salah, so this is going to be a nice excuse for people to laugh at me, which I've become quite accustomed to. And I kind of feel like, look, I don't want to make this about my team. This is a show about your team, and I'm looking forward to going deeper into that. But just top line, I was thinking before we came on, it reminds me a little bit of you at the start of the season with no Haaland, and like Haaland was scoring hat tricks, and everyone was telling you just to rip up your team and bring him in. And you were like, no, I'm keeping with my original plan. And I guess that's where I'm at with Salah. Like my plan has always been Salah in game week 14. And I think I'm still bringing Salah in 14, but not ripping up my team to bring him in next week, for example. But yeah, is it a similar thing?
Yeah, no, it's definitely similar, and I just fell victim to it. I brought in Haaland,
Yeah.
he absolutely stunk up the gaff for a few weeks, and I got rid of him straight away. So it just goes to show, like, you could bring Salah in and you start blanking. I do think holding on to Haaland for this Spurs fixture was the right thing to do. I did think he'd do a bit better, and he did have the chances to do it. He just didn't convert. So I actually think Haaland owners are quite unfortunate, and Salah owners, again, not lucky, but again, when you look at the goals, Salah always just comes up with goals. They're never, it's never always magic. Like this time, I would say is a small bit of luck and just poor from Southampton. So definitely a big swing, but I wouldn't be too hurt by that. I mean, it is what it is.
It's the annoying thing for me is it's been a swing for the last 3-4 game weeks with Salah captainers and owners versus the Haaland cappers and owners, and it's every week just the big XG chances. But I'm with you. Like I think Haaland, like if City weren't producing chances for him, he'd be an immediate sell. But the fact that the underlying data is there, we know Haaland usually hits around par with XG. He's underperforming at the moment. He'll start overperforming soon, and before we know it, his season will finish on par with as expected. And I want to be there. Like I've come this far. My season feels like a bit of a write-off anyway. So I'm sticking with Haaland. I'm still going to get Salah in alongside Haaland, but I'm not willing to sell Haaland, I don't think. But Chai, let's talk about your team and see where you're at this game week because you're a Salah owner. I'm guessing you captain him.
Yeah, so I indeed captain Salah. In front of us, I've got the Premier League table before we get into my team. I've also
Oh yeah,
got
go
the
on, go
results
on.
for this week. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a discussion. Liverpool top of the table, top of the tree. Would you say they're favourites to win the league?
Yeah, man. Definitely. I definitely feel it. I feel like City next week's game is massive. Like that Liverpool City game is huge. I can't see City winning it. With Liverpool having the home advantage as well. I don't know. Like we talk about early on in the season or when it's only 7 points or whatever, but don't forget, like when teams win the title, they don't slip up that much. And City, I feel like those 3 defeats on the run might just be enough to rule them out. Like you're never going to rule City out. I think Arsenal and Liverpool. I think I would. The reason I'm saying Arsenal, and I know they've got one fewer points than City, is I think we'll be here next week saying Arsenal have got more points than City, and I think we'll be here saying Arsenal are playing better football than City. So the way City are playing just isn't encouraging. Their defense is all over the place. I'm going to say it's between Liverpool and Arsenal for me.
I still think it is three horse. Again,
You reckon?
yeah, I think it's too early to be saying that with City. You know, they always go on a run around this time of the year where they're just
They
unstoppable.
do.
Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
they're after losing what 5 in a row. And we've never seen anything like that. And maybe you're right. The injury, like for example, to a Rodri and Rico Lewis not being able to fill in the gap, and Kovacic even injured. You could be right, and they could just go into a rut. I just feel like because we've not seen that in maybe the last 6 years, I think it is a small bit too early to say. But yeah, it is interesting. I do think Liverpool are favourites. I didn't expect them to be this good this season, and every single week they surprised me. Even today with 2-1 against Southampton, like, and then they come back. It's just like that's what title winners do, and you know, even with the likes of Trent out, they're still very, very good. So, Arsenal were very
Mate, I
impressive.
feel I, I feel like I've said exactly what you said going into the game week about Man City. I was like, it's too early to rule them out. They'll go on a great run. But then I saw them against Spurs. And I'm like, I haven't seen City all over the place defensively like this under Pep. Like maybe his first season, there was times where they were poor. But when we look at the way Sporting Lisbon ripped them in half, Brighton did the same. Spurs have now done the same. Like at Etihad, they're just showing vulnerabilities that they've not shown in years gone by, which is why I guess I'm committing to the theory of I don't think they can win the league. But I mean, where do you see them turning this round? Like, do you think they'll go to Anfield and get a result then next week?
I think they have to. I think you're right, though.
I'm interested as a Haaland owner here. So this
Oh,
is
as a Haaland owner. Yeah, no, I think when you consider the likes of Grealish coming back, De Bruyne coming back, that's a massive difference. Of course, De Bruyne is definitely not fit because he would have came on a bit earlier, I would have said. But Nathan Ake back as well. Probably not one that people are talking about. That's another big deal. I feel like Guardiola, he was actually quite impressive in terms of the areas he's picking up, and he has been looking good for a few weeks now as an asset. In terms of City, though, again, I just feel like maybe they just need an easier game to get back into the flow. Of course, Liverpool is not that easier game, but I do still feel like they have a chance to do well. And same with Haaland, he's always going to pick up chances, let's be real. But yeah, no, it is interesting. Speak to me about Arsenal though, Gianni.
Oh, I think from what I saw and from what Paul Merson said on Soccer Saturday, he was like, this is as good as Arsenal have been in a while, like potentially the performance of the season. Because Forest are no mugs and it was complete one-way traffic. We've been saying for ages, double Arsenal defence will pay off. And we always felt like Game Week 12 was a good entry point to stack up on their defence. But Saka also looking sharp. No Havertz or Martinelli with Trossard and Jesus coming in. I think Jorginho started too. So he mixed it up a little bit, but they're just so solid at the back, aren't they? Like clean sheets. We're just going to see an unbelievable run of clean sheets now, I think.
Yeah, moving on from that point, let's bring up my team and let's speak about two of the transfers I done this week. The two transfers I done this week, let me run through the team actually. So on goal, Raya, Mikalenko, Gabriel and Aït-Nouri. Mbuemo, nice. Garnacho, Palmer, Mo Salah, Solanke, Kuna and Havertz. My two transfers this week were Raya and Gabriel in for Trent and Ederson. So that worked an absolute
huge, man.
Yeah.
That is absolutely huge. So what, you had no Arsenal until this week?
So I had Kai Havertz up top. Yeah. But fortunately got the 2 points off Rodgers off the bench. And I'm currently sitting on 76 points and I'm in the top 1 million for the first time this season. So it's nice to be back with a 6-figure rank. Hopefully we can continue this. Of course, we've Alexander Isak to play tomorrow and maybe Jared Bowen for those that own him, even a Lewis Hall. But I think we should probably stick near enough to the top 1 million and quite happy going into this game, considering we're looming around 1.6.
Yeah, man, that's great. Like, that's huge. You're almost halving. You've got close to halving your rank. And I can't see tomorrow hurting you much because, yeah, Isak, Bowen, Lewis Hall, Fabianski even, they're in a few teams, but none of these guys are like template or none of them are really highly owned. So, yeah, you'll have a little red, but you could very easily still end up in the top mill, which is 6-figure rank, man. It's been a slow and steady journey there. I mean, I'm still way short. My rank, I think, somehow I'm on a green arrow without Mo Salah captain and without Mo Salah in my team, but yeah, just a small green, I think. So I look at your team and there's decent returns. Aït-Nouri played in the back four yesterday for Wolves, which was interesting. I mean, is he someone that you see as your defender number 3? Now Rico Lewis has been poor and City are conceding, or do you think it will often be Aït-Nouri on you? I mean, Aït-Nouri, Mikalenko, or Lewis? Like, it'll always be one of them on your bench. I mean, what are your plans in defence? Because Mikalenko is about to have a shocking run of 4 games from, I think, game week 15 onwards. Lewis is conceding goals for fun, and Aït-Nouri gives you some upside, but probably you're going to have to start him every week.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think I currently have 2.6 million in the bank. And the weakest part of my team is definitely the defence. And that's why I wanted to bring in Gabriel and Raya this current week. Yeah. Because with the likes of Ederson and Trent, of course Trent is not fit, there's a lot of uncertainty there. But I felt like with the likes of Gabriel and Raya, you can just sit on these type of guys for a while and not have to worry about it. And again, like we said, like Arsenal are easily, comfortably the best defence in the league. And I do think, although I did block myself out of Saka, you know, there will be other routes to players, and I just feel like having those two in the defence, I'm happy. In terms of Mikalenko and Aït-Nouri, for me, I think it'll be Mikalenko that'll be on the bench most weeks. I'm still more than comfortable as long as I know Lewis will get starts. I was speaking to Prass and he was saying the majority of City's next few games are the 12:30 kickoff, so we might get some information on whether or not Lewis starts. So that is interesting when you look at that. When I look at my team, again, we'll get onto the transfers thoughts in the next section, but I do feel like you're right. It probably is in the defense where I want to be making a move now that the likes of Alejandro Garnacho started today. Like,
Yeah, nice. I don't know where Praz has got that from. I would never usually doubt Praz, but I did this research myself the other day to look at City early kickoffs. Only game week 17
oh,
and
maybe
18 they're early. So we've got to wait till 17 and 18. But before then, like from 16, 15, 14, 13, they're not even on the first day quite often.
that's probably my bad.
So we
That's
won't
probably
get
my bad. I
leaks.
probably misquoted him.
But
He's probably saying
nah,
17,
let's,
mate.
let's blame him.
No, that's definitely my bad.
But also, it is worth noting, like, even with City in the early kickoff in 17 and 18, I'm not sure we even definitely get City team meets anymore. Like, the last few months have shown us, I think it's since the physio left, we're not getting the City team leaks. It's quite funny since the City physio left. But
yeah, it has
that'll
been
be
a bit
interesting. I'm with
quiet.
you, though. I own Rico Lewis. And no Kovacic means you can play Kyle Walker and Rico Lewis. And Rico Lewis is a midfield 2. Without playing inverted from right back, which is where we played. He was a box-to-box midfielder. Sure, he ended up on 0 points, but if you're just interested in where he played against Spurs, he was in a midfield too. And without Kovacic, they probably need him there. Pep does love him.
Yeah, I wonder could we see John Stones coming back in the midfield as well? That's something that I was thinking of.
True.
I know
Although he's always injured, Stones.
Yeah,
he went
yeah.
off at half-time injured.
So I wonder how serious that is, but that's always in the back of my mind if he is fit. But yeah, a great week from myself. I have to say, I probably expected a small bit more from Cole Palmer. The decision for me this week was whether or not I wanted to start Solanke over Rodgers, and that worked out beautifully. So again, it was marginal,
nice
but when you look at your micro decisions, they're the only ones you can make on a weekly basis. So I'm happy.
Mate, that feels like a really good call from you because I think if you had done a Twitter poll, I think the vast majority would have probably said Rodgers, given the fixture. Like at home to Palace versus away to City, I think many would have said Rodgers. So well played for backing your boy Solanke. You obviously had a great performance.
Absolutely no boys there at all.
Yeah, I know, man. You couldn't mention Spurs asset. But, I mean, he did have such a good game. Not the best FPL game. Like, and I watched in Solanke, like, I watched most Spurs games, not every single one like you, but I watched the majority, like, full 90-minute runs. And Solanke's been amazing this year. But in terms of his team contribution and the way Spurs play, he is a key cog. And Postecoglou can't even ever sub him. Like, has to be on the pitch 90 minutes. But how do you see Solanke as an FPL option? Because we're now in a world where if you don't own Cunha, I know you do, but you want to buy him. If you don't own João Pedro, you want to buy him. If you don't own Isak, you might be in the market, especially if Isak bangs tomorrow. Is Solanke someone you're planning on holding? And do you see him getting lots of goals or just picking up good contributions here and there because he's really playing for the team?
It's really hard to say. I think you're right. He did play very, very well against City. Again, he's been very, very impressive from a fan point of view. From an FPL asset point of view, I think for that price, he's definitely a hold. I see no reason to get rid of him with these fixtures coming up. Don't get me wrong, João Pedro for the price is so appealing. And also Cunha. For me though, I don't know, like Cunha has been amazing and he is incredible for bonus points. But at the same time, I won't be ripping up my team to get him. I know he is cheap. Like, whether or not he keeps that up, basically, I'm a bit skeptical. Like, he's been almost too good. But yeah, I think Solanke, you're right about, I don't think he's ever going to be, a 12-pointer. But I think he should tick away nicely over the next few games, especially when you consider the amount of chances Spurs get. He had a few chances in the City game. He got into really good positions as well. So I like holding on to him, and that's just me though. I can completely understand if you want to get to an Isak who looks quite or even better with the penalties.
Yeah, I mean, you have Havertz, which I guess you could. I mean, let's speak about João Pedro because we've mentioned Cunha, and I feel like the two big, like we both. I'm not going to call us YouTubers. We both do YouTube videos, but like content creators in general this week. If you think of who's going to be the face of the week, I feel like it's going to be Cunha and João Pedro, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So you've got Cunha. You don't need to worry about trying to bring him in. And he's someone with the Wolves fixtures we're both going to own for a while. Neither of us have João Pedro, the other Brazilian attacker that's wicked. Do you see yourself bringing him in and maybe transferring Havertz, or are you just going to stick with this front three for a while, you think? Because I'm looking to maybe buy João Pedro for Solanke this week. I don't want to sell Solanke, but I feel like João Pedro home to Southampton is so good.
I don't know what it is for me. I really want to hold on to Havertz, and I don't know where that stems from. Especially when you're after seeing the performance from Jesus. I thought he played phenomenally, completely changed the dynamic for Arsenal. He offers them something different.
Yeah.
The one thing that does do for me if I get rid of Havertz, it lets me bring in another Arsenal asset in Saka. And I think long term that probably is a good move. And João Pedro will give me so many funds if I do that. Again, my issue with that is, like we spoke about, the issues for me are mostly in defence. Not that they're even issues. They returned this week, but it looks a bit thin at the back. So I could potentially even roll, or I could just bring in João Pedro and then the next week do Saka. But yeah, I think my team is quite flexible. I do like it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, João Pedro did have a price rise, I think, on Saturday night. Like, that's how popular he was going into the game week. I'm just looking in terms of a price rise again this week. Saka, but Salah and Saka and Isak and Van Dijk are all due to go up tonight. But João Pedro will probably see a second price rise. Like, he's already at 24% and gone up once. So I might have to make a sort of midweek transfer there, because for my plans, I have to get João Pedro at this price to give myself the route of going Bruno Fernandes to Salah in 2 weeks' time, given the fact Salah's rising. Okay, so Havertz possibly out for João Pedro is one option you've got. What are your other options for potential moves then? Like, are you happy with Garnacho?
I think going into this Everton fixture, I think it is next week, I don't see why not hold on to him. I think I'm quite hopeful of another start, especially when I consider him probably one of their best attackers behind Bruno. Probably better than Rashford and Ahmed. So, again, that's my opinion. United fans might disagree, but I just think he probably is a hold until the fixtures get a bit more difficult. And he comes in at a cheap price, so I'm not asking for too much from him. And I can also interchange him with Rodgers, so I don't think I'm too worried with Garnacho. One other move I was looking at, if I do end up getting rid of Havertz, is moving up in Buemo after the Leicester fixture to Saka. But I just don't know. I don't know yet. I need more time to think because it can get quite complicated.
Yeah, the Saka fixtures are interesting because West Ham away is a good entry point for those that go in 13. 14 is at home to Man United. You've got to say, though, that's probably a good fixture given the fact that we've just seen Ipswich at home to Man United and they racked up the chances. Then it's Fulham, Everton, Palace, Ipswich, Brentford, Brighton. Like, it's a good run. Like, Arsenal, well documented. They don't leave London in December either. Did you watch the games today? Like, did you watch United? I haven't watched either game, so we should probably talk a little bit about those two Sunday games because they're such big for FPL. Like, how did United look?
I watched about 60 minutes because I had to set up the stream, but I thought they were grand in the first 10 minutes. You know, they looked electric, I'm not going to lie. And I was thinking, maybe they're right at what they're saying about Amaran. And you go on Twitter and it's the same thing. We're back. And then slowly but surely they kind of fell off throughout the game, but that was inevitable. They're never going to keep that up. I think it's more so Ipswich actually quite good rather than United being bad, I want to say. Ipswich are very, very impressive, man. Delap, what a striker. And also Amari Hutchinson, he's very, very impressive. Again, the goal was a bit of a deflection, but he's a good player. Even against Tottenham, he was like fairly lively against us. So I think United's Amaran team, they're going to take time to gel, let's be real. And a lot of people are trying to take advantage of the fixtures, but I do think they're a hold. I wouldn't be eager to get any United players, even Bruno. I just think he comes in at around 8.5 now. I don't know if that's just for the price, but I suppose time will tell.
Yeah. Ahmad wing back as well.
Interesting.
Like maybe one for, really interesting because I'm sure he's going to have some really nice positions there. And if he is nailed and becomes a 90-minute man, 4.9 million like for a United attacker. And I know he's a wing back, but he'll be more wide forward than wing back in the way they play. It'll be almost like a front five, back five system like we've seen with Tuchel under Chelsea. Like, I think eyes on Diallo from maybe a budget United pick if he continues to nail that spot. I remember years ago when Victor Moses made Victor Moses the wing back, and it was like, oh, we get a really cheap midfielder that's actually nailed now. Okay, so before I guess we see things like your bus team and stuff, let's just look at any other individual performances. You mentioned Mbermo. Home to Leicester next. I'm seeing people selling Mbermo, which is mental at home to Leicester. But after that, the fixtures do turn a little bit, don't they? And we forget, like, Mbermo's not expensive, but because he's had the price rises, you can sell him Burmo. Most can sell him for around 7.5. He's now 7.9, but many bought him for like 7.1. So my sale price is 7.5. There's a lot of good midfielders I can get for 7.5. So he isn't someone I'm just absolutely set and forget carrying through the festive period. What are your thoughts? Because you mentioned Saka there briefly.
Yeah, I'm of agreement with that. I think there will be a point in time where I want to get rid of him. Whether or not it's sooner or later, I'm not sure. But I think you're right. Like, I wouldn't just hold on to him for the sake of he's been good. But don't get me wrong. The numbers and him being Brentford's number 9 and on penalties, I mean, I can completely understand the incentive to hold on to him. But you could be that one step ahead if you go early. And try to take advantage of some of the other assets that haven't yet lived up to their expectation. Yeah, another one I wanted to speak about is Palmer. What did you think of the game, Gianni, before we move on to my bus team?
Yeah, I mean, this is one I guess I have seen. I was actually listening. I listened to the TalkSport commentary first half and watched the second half. I was driving. So, I mean, everyone that captained him can feel robbed because of that one opportunity where Madueke clears it off.
I knew that was coming.
And it was like, it was like, it felt like I had to start with that. But I should mention, without that big chance, and that was a massive chance, like that would have been like 0.7 xg or whatever, or maybe higher. And I think Palmer, I was in the scout members area this morning, was the biggest underperformer of the game week. Palmer was number 1, Haaland was number 2. They were both just short of 1 xg. Other than that massive chance, there wasn't a huge amount. Like, considering Chelsea dominated possession, considering Chelsea were playing a Leicester team that have been poor, quite frankly, you do expect a little bit more. Like, obviously, as a Chelsea fan, I'm buzzing with Cole Palmer. He's our best player. I love him. But if I take my Chelsea hat off and just go purely as an FPL asset, given the fact he's 10.8 million, you do expect a little bit more. Pochettino's Chelsea was all built to Cole Palmer. It was like, give the ball to Palmer and see if we can get a moment of magic. The Maresca Chelsea team comes with way more identity and way more patterns of play that involve not just Cole Palmer, but Madueke or João Felix or Pedro Neto or Nicholas Jackson. So sure, he's still the main man, but not everything goes through him at all times. And I just think that maybe makes him slightly worse than FPL. Like, is Cole Palmer going to go and have the same FPL season he had last year, where he had 244 points? I don't think he is. But we have to remember, Chelsea aren't managed by Pochettino anymore, which definitely benefited Cole. So, look, I still think he's a good pick because the fixtures are so good. He is someone, though, when the fixtures do turn, and look, they don't turn for a long time, like I think end of January, I'd struggle to sell him because the fixtures are there for him. And at home, even better. Like, he's got Villa at home, Southampton away, next 2. Like, I don't think we can be even talking about selling him, can we? I mean, have you looked at it?
No, I don't think there's any prospect of me selling him. Interesting that you say that about, even the thought of selling him. Let me know, what's your top 4 right now, in order?
Oh, in terms of just players in the game?
No, top 4 league table first, and then we can do players in the game if you want. Yeah.
I think Chelsea will get top 4, but I think they'll get 4th.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Liverpool 1 because I think Salah's just gonna be the difference maker. I think. I don't know. Arsenal 2, City 3, Chelsea 4. Let us know in the chat your predictions as well. Where are you on that, Chai?
Yeah, I think I'm. So weird saying it, man, but Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Spurs.
Do you reckon?
That's not that I reckon. I really back Ange. I don't know. Maybe I'm deluded.
What is it with Spurs fans and backing Ange to the? I think Ange is a good manager, but I feel like Spurs fans think he's like the next Pep or something.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I think we're maybe a year ahead of Maresca, and I just don't think you've seen it yet, the difference. I feel like there's way more to come. Like, again, maybe I'm just optimistic because I'm hopeful, but from everything I see and the underlying data backs it up, like, I just feel like it will click at some point, and we've seen against City what we can do. Like, I'm just so excited, and I do think we should be getting top 4, and it is going to be a good battle.
Do you know what? I would go so far to also say, like, we don't quite know enough about Maresca yet. If I'm comparing Ange and Maresca, I also really rate Ange. Like, given the choice, if you're saying who's the better manager, right here, right now, it is Postecoglou, like, for me. The difference for me is Chelsea got a lot. For me, Chelsea have got a significantly better standard of player than Spurs throughout the squad, which will be the difference maker. Like first 11s, there's maybe not much in it on paper. But when I look at the squad, and I think the squad will come into its own as injuries kick in and European involvement and blah, blah, blah. And I just wonder if that's the difference that gets Chelsea top four. But yeah,
that's a good point.
And there's other teams. There's other teams out there as well for fourth, isn't there? But go on Chelsea.
That's really interesting because I completely agree with what you said. But that is kind of feeds into my point. It's like we just seen Spurs do that to City with Radu Dragushin and Ben Davies at the back. Like,
yeah.
If we had a fully fit squad, Son played 60 minutes. Like Brennan Johnson was on the bench. It just makes me think like if Wilson Odegaard and maybe when the Korean winger comes in and we sign a player or two in January, like maybe it will look even better. But again, that's just my optimism coming in. And you're right about Chelsea. You definitely do have a better squad than us currently.
Yeah. It's okay. Will sent a super chat. Thanks, Will. You sent a chat, I think, on my stream this morning as well on my channel. So I appreciate that. He said, lads, Captain Salah, do I do Stewart to João Pedro and Foden to Saka tonight? If you've got the exact funds and price drops really matter for you, then that's a good move to do tonight. It's risky because there's so much European football midweek. But if you don't need to for price drops, don't worry too much about money and just make those moves on Friday because you don't know what's going to happen in the week. Mo Salah get injured versus Real Madrid. Like, I personally don't like early transfers unless you're really pushed into the corner because of having the exact funds. I mean, what's your take on early transfers, Chai?
Yeah, no, I agree. Unless you're going to be priced out, I would wait for sure. You're right what you said about injuries, and we often do see them. Like, they're actually more common than not.
Yeah, like I was in our Ultras WhatsApp group, Chai, just before we came on, and Sav, as in he might be watching now actually, big Spurs fan, season ticket holder, he was like, João Pedro's going up in price tonight, Gianni. And I'm like, Sav, how well do you know me?
Don't tempt me.
Yes, I probably am buying João Pedro, but I've got the Champions League, for God's sake. Don't tempt me, like, you know. So, yeah, I think I'm happy to wait. You just never know. It's not just Champions League, right? It's the Europa and Europa Conference as well. So
exactly. There's so much to play.
Hold out if you can, guys.
Okay, yeah, so let's get into my Game Week 13 bus team, shall we?
Oh, nice.
On goal, I've got Rhea. Right now, currently, it's Mikalenko, Gabriel, and Aït-Nouri. Very similar to Game Week 12. Mbeumo, Garnacho, Palmer, Mo Salah, Solanke, Kuna, and Havertz. And on the bench, Rodgers, Lewis, and Greaves. Exactly like Game Week 12. One free transfer, 2.6 in the bank, I believe.
Exactly like Game Week 12. And currently, the armband's still on the same player. I'm going to go straight to it, Shai, before we talk about transfers and benchings. Captaincy. Where are you at? Because at the moment, the armband's on Salah, which I'm guessing wasn't the plan, but after today, maybe it is.
I am just defaulting Salah for now. I haven't given it too much thought, to be honest. I seen a stat, I can't remember what stat was, but there's just something about Salah versus City, and that's why I was like, I won't change it for the time being. But yeah, right now, it is going to be an interesting week, innit? Like, I feel like with, of course, Haaland playing against Liverpool as well, people are going to go elsewhere, and elsewhere, I don't know yet.
Do you think, guys, let us know in the chat, like, do you think the majority will go elsewhere? Do you think we'll see Salah and Haaland with big EOs, or do you think everyone will go Palmer or someone, Mbeumo, or the Man United player they own? Like, there's outside of Salah, Haaland, Mbeumo, Leicester at home, Bruno Fernandes, Everton at home, Palmer, Villa at home, and I might even just throw in your Spurs attacker for Fulham at home, although we've been there, done that against Ipswich.
I love it.
And that. Mate, look, even Cunha, Bournemouth at home, the way he's playing, like, there's genuine rogue options this week, isn't there, in Game Week 13?
Yeah, if I put my money on it, I think Palmer will be the standout for most people. Again, I could be completely wrong, and Twitter might disagree, but when I look at it,
Mine's
probably...
on Palmer. My bus is on Palmer at the moment, my bus captain.
A part of me really wants to captain Solanke again, but fool me once, you know what they say. So again, maybe I'm just getting
goal again. He'll touch his hand again, the ball and the bit to the goal.
Unfortunate. You know what I mean? He's on for a hole then. But yeah, no, I do think it is going to be an interesting week, and I think the order is probably Palmer, um, Mbuemo, and then I want to say
Ooh, yeah.
Salah. Like, I think Mbuemo will be a bit more popular for the rogue managers.
New manager bounce with Leicester. I don't know who they're even linked with, but they have. We should mention Leicester have sacked their manager.
Steve Cooper, yeah.
Um, I know. I'm some weird decision that. Like, what do they expect from Steve Cooper? Like,
Yeah, I
this point of
disagree
the
with
season
it.
with that squad. Yeah, it's shocking. I can't believe that. But Mbermo, what we know from Brentford is they are top of the home table and bottom of the away table. When Brentford play at home, they're very, very good, and they're about to play Leicester at home. So yeah, I see why you like that one. I guess. Are you like? I know you've not given it much thought, but even in the last couple of minutes as we've been talking about it, do you? If you were to rank your top three captains right here, right now, in where you think you'll go, who would be your three? And then we'll move
What
away
I
from
think I'm
captaincy
going to
chat.
do.
Yeah,
You see,
what you
like,
think you would
my
do.
general top three for what I'd
You're
advise
allowed to
people
change, though. You're allowed to change. But what will you do with this team in terms of your first choice, second choice, third choice captain?
Okay, right now, it is probably Palmer, Solanke, and Buemo. Um,
Yeah.
and if I were to give, like, outside my team, I would say the best captaincy is probably Palmer, Mbuemo, and not Solanke.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, someone just said in chat, I wonder if Saka even up there against West Ham.
Maybe if Saka was at home to West Ham, maybe. But given the fact it's away, I don't know. Don't know. Don't know if I like that as much. I mean, I don't like it as much. It's still not a bad shout, though. Clearly.
Yeah, speak to me about Havertz actually. How do you feel about Havertz? Of course, I own him, and I'm a small bit unsure.
Mate, given going into the weekend, I would have told you he's nailed. I'd have told you he's a really good pick. And actually, I like the idea of going Havertz over Saka. Not because I think Havertz will get more points than Saka, but given the fact there's about 1.5 million between them, I was like, and midfield spots are so tight, I actually don't mind the Havertz shout over a Saka shout for the festive period. And then I go and see him benched. And then I go and see Arsenal play the best game they've played all season with Gabby Jesus playing. And I'm like, oh, maybe he's not nailed. Look, he could have had a knock. We don't know. But he's a big risk now for you. Like, he might not be, like, he's obviously going to play a load of games, even if he's not first choice. But he might not be as nailed as we thought. So let's definitely monitor that one. I mean, Champions League is coming up. See how they get on in the champs. But I'd be a little bit nervous now about a start versus West Ham. Just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is important what we see midweek. I think he might be carrying something. During the international break, we heard something. I can't remember what the injury was, but I just wonder, is he carrying something?
Didn't he?
Yeah, he played. That's why
played
I'm
for Germany,
confused.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all I'd say is Arteta adores him. Like, he has become one of, like, until the weekend, he was one of the first names on the team sheet. Like, whether he was playing as a 10 and 9 and 9.5, filling in for Odegaard, like, when he's fit under Arteta, certainly in the last 6 months or so, the run in last year and the start of this season, he's been absolutely a key cog. And I think what I'm saying is that will continue. But yeah, just a tiny bit nervous. But I think he'll probably be good. And I think he's probably a hold. Like, I wouldn't sell Havertz for João Pedro this week, I don't think.
Okay, if you had my team, what would you do then?
I think I'm selling Solanke to João Pedro.
Oh, really?
But that's only because... Yeah.
Ahead of Havertz?
But that's... Depends what we see in the week from Arsenal. If we see Havertz start, play well, score... I don't know, man. I keep watching Solanke. The reason I asked you about him as an FPL option, keep watching him and just going, you're one of those players that's a really, really great player that the fans love, but you're not an FPL pick. And you were an FPL pick at Bournemouth, but in this Spurs team, all the goal threat seems to come from the midfield runners or the wide men. Like, the moment, like, he's not, yeah, he's having some shots. But if we take away that 16-pointer versus Aston Villa, his biggest score this season was 6 points. Like, and that 16-pointer versus Villa, after, I know he did get it, so we can't take that away from him. But after an hour of that football match, when I tuned into Sky Sports to watch it, he was blanking. And the way the game went, Spurs just had that flurry late on, and Slanky went chicken oriental. It doesn't usually happen like that. Like, I can't forget that 16-pointer has done a huge amount of heavy lifting. Before, take that away, his biggest score is 6.
No, valid, completely valid. What I was gonna say was just
I got you
about
with chicken oriental,
yeah,
didn't I?
yeah.
I got you with chicken oriental. He did go absolutely mental.
I was gonna say that like sometimes Salah for 70 minutes in every game looks like he's one of those picks,
Yeah.
and he just comes up with the goods. Maybe if Spurs give Solanke a bit more service, we would see a bit more holes or some goals. And I do think his time has come. But yeah, fair enough. I can understand why to get rid of Solanke. During the week, I was telling people, if you want to get rid of Solanke, I can understand your frustration. You know, he's not really. I know you're a heat map
Yeah.
merchant, Gianni. He wasn't
You say
combining with
that every week. I'm
the.
not a heat map merchant. I say, and every week I have to caveat it with I show them and I talk about them a lot, but I do not pick my FPL picks much off heat maps. I just think they're a really good way of illustrating other bits of stats and a more visual thing to look at on a Sunday
I'm only
morning.
joking. I'm only joking.
Charts of bloody data. Who wants to see that ever, let alone on a Sunday morning? So
No, you're
yeah,
right too.
I'm not a heat map merchant. I just like them a little bit. But thank you for mentioning it yet again on our Sunday streams. I'm so going to call you out next week on that.
Moving on, Johnny. All right, who are the best three assets in the game going forward through this congested
Man,
Christmas period?
this is a hard. Is this a way of you making me say Mo Salah number one? I think I'm
Potentially. Go ahead.
I don't own Mo Salah, and I know he's a good pick, and I knew he was going to get points against Southampton. I went Bruno instead of Salah last week. It looked all right. Didn't this week. Next week, I think I'm gambling with no Mo Salah, and then I'll finally have him in for the Newcastle fixture. That's the plan anyway. So I think Salah is probably one. I think pick number two, because of the fixtures, I still think Cole Palmer, because I just can't. Those Chelsea fixtures are unreal. The third best pick in the game right now is probably Saka, isn't it? Like, he surprised me yesterday, Saka, because I was like, if you play, I reckon you're still going to be like carrying a knock. He actually was fine and looked great. And I'm like, how do you do it? Because I reckon you are probably never 100%. No player's ever 100%, but I reckon he's not even 95. Like, this is a guy that manages to play at 75% and still score goals and grab assists and look like the main man. So I think I'll go with Salah, Palmer, Saka in that order.
Yeah, when I pick this list, I'm trying to really account for value. And that's when the likes of a João Pedro or a
Okay.
Gabriel
Nice.
pop into my mind. Just,
Yeah.
happy to hold them through. I think it's crucial that you go with the 90-minute men that are on penalties throughout this type of period. Over a stretch of games that they're just going to play. And I think that is probably the most important thing. You can start picking these picks and get carried away, and suddenly they're being benched every second week. So that's why João Pedro probably isn't on the list. Yeah, like Havertz, exactly like Havertz. His position map is on the bench.
Johan says heat maps are great, and you're quite right, Johan. They're awesome.
I agree.
I like them a lot.
Anyway,
which I think is the only thing I ever look at.
going back to what we were saying, I do think.
Who's your three then?
I think I feel like Saka, if he's fit, is probably top for me. And I just think when you account for price and his consistency, how good Arsenal are at set pieces when he's on the corners, and he's just been another level this season. So I do think Saka is probably, for me, number one. Again, he's not someone I have, and it's probably someone I want to get into my team. Next, I'm going to say Palmer.
Ooh,
I do feel like with the fixtures, Palmer, he's still a great option. And for me, from what we've seen, I feel like he's ridiculous. And if he can just return against Villa and people slap the captain armband on him, I think a lot of people will feel like more confident at putting the armband on him throughout the Christmas period. And then third, I think I have to default to Salah, only because Liverpool are so good, and no matter how bad he's playing, he just comes up with something. It's annoying, to be honest, because I don't know how he does it, and why can't it be other people that do that, like Solanke, that are less owned, you know what I mean?
It's like the routes to points has just always been so much better than everyone else. I'm like, how do you do it? That's probably what makes him the game's best ever player, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For the last,
finds ways
every single time, every single year. It's ridiculous.
And do you know what he does better than everyone else is the points he gets in the last sort of quarter of a football match. When the game is stretched, when defenses are tired, he still finds ways of popping up with goals. And I think a lot of that is down to his unbelievable work rate. And he maybe at times might save himself for the
his
last
physique that he keeps showing off as well.
I know, man. He's had 10 yellow cards in his 10 yellow cards ever in the Premier League. 5 of them are for taking his shirt off. Love that stat.
I respect it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I just feel like in the last stages of a football match, when a lot of players' heads are flustered, whether that's making the right pass, making the right decision, making the right run, or making the right finish, Salah in the last 10, 15 minutes of football matches always converts. And I'm like, he has that cool head that I think you just isn't something you can train, right? He makes the right decisions, often in front of goal, late in a game when it's stretched and you get more chances. And he is a flat track bully in the last 20 minutes of a football game.
And also
So
when you
many of his
consider the
points.
bonus.
My dad told me today that he was like, oh, I had my phone off, right? I was like, I'm not watching the game. I'm getting out. And my dad's phone was buzzing all the time. And he went, oh. And I was like, don't tell me. He went, no, it's good news. You'll be happy. And I was like, do not tell me. And he didn't tell me. But I got from that Southampton were doing well and Salah was a blanking. This was after an hour. And I was like, that's unbelievable. And I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't want to know what's happened, but whatever's happened, it doesn't matter because Salah gets all his points in the last 30 minutes anyway. And obviously that's what went and happened. So I was, gutted to that.
So sorry to hear, Gianni. Maybe you might bring him in next week. Let's see. Anyway,
I can't get to him easily unless I sell Haaland, and I'm keeping Haaland.
Okay, so you're sticking to your guns. Another amazing stream.
I remind myself so much of you at the start of the season. I remember shouting at you like going, just buy Haaland, and you're like, just buy Salah.
Another amazing stream, Gianni. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone in chat for joining us. Again, we'll probably see you next Sunday, and we will see you in the next.